You and me, we meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell.
Hello, YouTube. Dang. There's a lot of moving parts. So let me check here. So I've got microphone, camera. There's a bunch of people in the room. Let me do welcome Meet the Bible Live. Tonight we're talking about abortion. Pro or con, I hope you log in and make a comment. Let me send my quick introduction and we'll go to chat. Okay. Goodluck Hand of Seeds and Deanna, God bless. Always good to see you, Deanna. Gosh, dang it. Let's see what Okay, moderators, how about no questions on my text when I'm live? Because I've got a lot of moving parts here, and I'm trying to focus. But we'll come back. It's on my credit for it's on the credit somewhere. Deanna, Sonia, fractured psych. I've seen you before. Good luck on your show, Bill. All right. Daniel, thank you, Daniel, and Amanda Mason. We've seen you before. Got a lot of information to put out tonight. A lot of information. I appreciate you coming. I think I've put something together. Got a couple of moderators here. I'm going to try to incorporate activity that you guys can have something to say. I have 4 videos I'm going to try to work in. And I want you to watch these videos. And gosh. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Deanna. Greetings, Amanda. Yeah. And the girls will say hello to people as they come in. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you watching. And like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell, Miss Sonia says. The American. God bless. God bless the American. Glad to see you. I'm trying not to read the threads, but isn't it kind of neat how I was able to, got to give credit to my grandson. He's my technical advisor, and he's the one spearheading all this technology. Kind of lost without him. But I think the money is in the screen next to the screen so people can see their comments. I think that's where what's important. I'm going to show you these videos. Gosh, this is a sensitive subject. This whole abortion thing. And I right off the bat, not judging anybody who's had one, hoping you don't have another one. This is not a judgment thing. This is not hellfire, damnation, or anything like that. This is largely an education, is what it is. I do a lot of prison and jail ministry work. And some people know I'm getting burned out on it. And I was at the Cove last week. I'm sure you've watched my videos. And there's a prayer room up there. And I sat in there and I talked to Jesus. When you pray, you're talking to Jesus. When you read the Bible, he's talking to you. And, about numbers have significance. 7 is the number of spiritual completeness. 8 means new beginnings. And I feel, I don't hear audible words from God. I feel God saying 8, new beginning here. and focus your. The biggest thing with jail and prison is the children. That's the biggest thing that bothers me. A lot of sad stories. So, I don't know. That's kind of wearing me out here. So, I wanted to. I still want to serve. I still want to minister, and I'm just leaning toward this whole God thing. I'm learning a God thing. This whole maybe I'm thinking He wants me to work the abortion issue. And if I could, in my remaining weeks, we have 4,000 weeks, right? We have about 750 left. Each day you cash in a day from the bank of your 4,000. And maybe if I could prevent, I'm trying to fire up my tablet here. I'm hoping the volume's turned off. Yeah. All right. I see a bunch of thumbs. Sonia, thumbs. And when I read, and I try not to read because I don't want to leave the camera, but I'm getting partials. Hey, Cole, preach on, buddy. Thank you, Daniel. Blessings to you, Cole, on board. Hannah Seed. It's a sensitive subject, people, and I think this is my new battleground, and I think I'm going to be nicely, respectfully countering some women that are entertaining abortions. And if we could convert just one, from murdering a child, and I got to say it's murder. I have to say, guys, it is absolute murder. And I think they're not being advised. I think they're not just being told. And, woman's body is her choice. Okay, when your woman has a son, she has a penis and 10 fingers and 10 toes. So it's not really her body, it's someone else's body. And I hate to go there and I hate to beat up, but I think this is my new mission. I'm going to back off on jail and ministry. And I think this is not a calling, but this is where I need to be. So with that being said, I'm going first to Exodus. The 10 Commandments are in Deuteronomy 5 and Exodus 20. Exodus 20 and 13 tells us, thou shalt not kill. It actually means thou shalt not do premeditated lying, wait, murder. And I get people who challenge me that well, you kill deer, or we kill animals and cows and things. Okay, mosquitoes and flies. They are not made in the image of God. All right, they're not made in the image of God. That's for one. All right, so watch these videos. Bear with me. Keep the conversation going, ladies. Deanna, I just shared on. I have no idea what Gab is. Speedy, Facebook, MeWe, and what's our head count here? How many people we got in here? Sonia, I don't have access to that. Mandamus, abortion. I'm going to get thumbs down on this subject. I ask all of you to thumb up, and the people are watching the show tomorrow, next week. And I did that little advertisement. I tried to do an ad the day of, or morning of, or day before that I'm going live on Monday night. That's an ad, that's an infomercial. And my subs jumped up like 10 or something. So it's a keyword search, and it's informative, and this is going to be a glass subject. Please don't take me the wrong way. These women need love more than ever. And they need compassion and understanding. But they also need to understand this is murdering a child. And I don't think they understand what it's about. I'm hoping some people will come and view this later on. And I consider this a part one of part two. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more to it. Sherry A., thank you for joining. American, agree with the call. It is murder. And I'll be back in between these shows, 3 5-minute shows, and then there's a long 30, but I want to get started on them. Let me transition here to Matthew 25:40. And I use this in prison a lot for justifying my work in prison. And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, insomuch as you have done it unto the least of these, my brethren and sistren, you have done it unto me. I have to do this.
My name is Dr. Anthony Levatino. I'm a practicing obstetrician gynecologist, and I've performed over 1,200 abortions. Today I'm going to describe a second trimester surgical abortion called dilatation and evacuation, or D&E. A D&E is performed between 13 and 24 weeks of pregnancy. After administering anesthesia, the abortionist uses a weighted speculum, like this one, that opens the vagina widely. Because second trimester babies are so large, this greater access facilitates a late-term abortion. Late-term abortion requires that the cervix be prepared 24 to 48 hours in advance with laminaria. Laminaria is a type of sterilized seaweed that absorbs water over 8 to 12 hours and swells to several times its original diameter. Once removed, metal dilators can be used to further open the cervix as needed. Once the cervix has been stretched open, the suction tube is placed inside. A baby at 20 weeks gestation is as big as the length of my hand, from head to rump, not counting the legs. The suction machine is turned on, and pale yellow amniotic fluid surrounding the baby is suctioned out through the catheters. With babies this big, they don't fit through catheters this size. The baby's bones and skull are too strong to be torn apart by suction alone. This is a Sofer clamp. A Sofer clamp is made of stainless steel. It's about 13 inches long. The business end is about 2.5 inches long and a 1/2 inch wide, and there are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. The abortionist uses this clamp to grasp an arm or leg. Once he has a firm grip, the abortionist pulls hard in order to tear the limb from the baby's body. One by one, the rest of the limbs are removed, along with the intestines, the spine, and the heart and lungs. Usually the most difficult part of the procedure is extracting the baby's head, which is about the size of a large plum at 20 weeks. The head is grasped and crushed. The abortionist knows he has crushed the skull when a white substance comes out of the cervix. This was the baby's brains. The abortionist then removes skull pieces. He removes the placenta and any leftover parts of the baby with a curette, scraping the lining of the uterus for any remaining tissue. The abortionist then collects the baby parts and reassembles them to make sure that there are 2 arms, 2 legs, and all the pieces. Once all the parts have been accounted for, the abortion is complete. For the woman, this procedure carries a significant risk of major complications, including perforation or laceration of the uterus or cervix, with possible damage to the bowel, bladder, and other maternal organs. Infection and hemorrhage can also occur, which can even lead to death. Future pregnancies are also at greater risk for loss or premature delivery due to abortion-related trauma and injury to the cervix. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm Dr. Anthony Levatino, and in the early part of my career as an OBGYN, I performed over 1,200 abortions. One day, after completing one of those abortions, I looked at the remains of a preborn child whose life I had ended, and all I could see was someone's son or daughter. I came to realize that killing a baby at any stage of pregnancy for any reason is wrong. I want you to know today, no matter where you're at or what you've done, you can change. Make a decision today to protect the preborn. Thank you for your time.
I will no longer do any more abortions. When you finally figure out that killing a baby that big for money is wrong, that it doesn't take you too long to figure out it doesn't matter if the baby is this big or this big or this big or maybe even this big, it's all the same. And I haven't done any since then, and I never will.
Okay. Let's go back to chat. There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot of moving parts. So I'm trying to keep hold of it all. It's, not good, is it? It's not a good thing. Nope, Tanya, we'll be back. Sorry, Cole. What? Isaiah, tears. Well, that's how it is, guys. And I think we need to get the word out, right? We need to tell people about this. I got other videos. I got others. And again, we need to be nice. We need to be compassionate about it. Deanna, it's hard. It's hard, folks. Please share. I felt this is, brother, don't do this. I don't know who you're talking to. American. My speaker's on, my everything's right. People think Planned Parenthood is so good, and Planned Parenthood does do a lot of good, but they're responsible for 300, by their own numbers, 300, almost 330 million, 330,000 abortions a year in America. And you're going to see a video here where they don't tell, the video shows they don't just disclose the truth, and there's plenty of evidence out there that they don't always do it. So this next one is on real numbers from what they really do. When they say is 3%, they do only 3% of their business is abortions. It's misleading. It's lying. Okay, it's lying. That would be the 9th commandment. Deanna notes real quick. Sherry A seems like the abortions himself. I saw in earlier, Amanda, I think, asked, is this end times? Yes, these are end times. God's slow to anger, but he do anger. All right. And we are, and you see video comments, that it's legal. Well, okay. All right. Slavery was legal in America. And looking back, I think it was wrong. Well, these aren't people. And if we villainize them as not being humans, all right, well, the Jews weren't humans. So look what Nazis, Germany did to them. So I think we need to talk about this, people. And I appreciate you watching. And the people who view this in the future days, months, perhaps years, understand we're not passing judgment. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe in the God of the Bible, Jesus, and the Bible says this is in fact murder. I'm pro-choice. Let me say this right now. I am pro-choice. I believe you have the baby, or you abstain from making the baby. You use a contraceptive, or you adopt the child out. There's 4 choices you're giving. I am pro-choice. Murder is just not one. It's just not a viable choice. And of course, people bring up rape and incest and all that. Lowest common denominator. Let's make them handicapped as well. Rebecca, Matt, it's really, I don't know if your guys' font is as small as mine, but I have a window in the window, so I'm looking. Planned Parenthood does good, 0 zills. They do not provide parental support or any worthwhile clinical services. I don't know, and I'm going to get involved. Monday, in my area, Raleigh, North Carolina, Monday their local is doing a bake sale at 12 or 1 o'clock for Planned Parenthood. I plan to be there. It'll be my first event where I'll go, and don't have a sign or anything, but just want to support the other anti-killing people. Mason, signs to 1-year-old. I watch these videos, guys. Let me segue here. And a lot of moving parts, but I appreciate you joining, appreciate you liking, subscribing, and staying, and share these. So video 2, shall we?
America's largest abortion chain over and over and over again that abortion is only 3% of the services that they offer.
That's your self-reported abortion statistic.
3% of all the procedures we provide.
It's in their annual report. It's on their website. And their supporters say it all the time.
And abortions only comprise 3% of Planned Parenthood's health services.
Abortion services only account for about 3%.
Because only 3% of what Planned Parenthood does is abortions.
3% of patients visit Planned Parenthood for a safe and legal abortion.
Here's why that statistic is completely bogus, and why the senior editor of the online magazine Slate said that the 3% stat was the, quote, most meaningless abortion statistic ever, and why the Washington Post fact checker gave Planned Parenthood's 3% statistic 3 Pinocchios, marking it as, quote, very misleading. Let's look at the numbers. According to their own annual report, Planned Parenthood commits over 300,000 abortions per year. Last year alone, they did 323,999 abortions. which averages to 887 abortions per day, 37 abortions per hour, 1 abortion every 97 seconds. Again, Planned Parenthood commits 1 abortion every 97 seconds. But how much of what Planned Parenthood does is abortion? Well, let's divide the number of abortions they do in a year by the number of patients they see in a year. 323,999 abortions for 2.5 million patients means that 1 in 8 patients who walk into Planned Parenthood will undergo an abortion. Not 1 in 33, Elizabeth Warren, 1 in 8. It's easy to see where Planned Parenthood's priorities are. They commit 160 abortions for every 1 adoption referral. Though Planned Parenthood constantly talks about their breast exams and Pap tests, they only do less than 1% of the nation's Pap tests and 1.8% of the nation's breast exams, while they do 30.6%, a third of the nation's abortions. But that's a public relations problem. So Planned Parenthood came up with a creative way to make their big business, abortion, look very small. To get the 3% figure, Planned Parenthood divides abortions by the number of so-called services, which they define as a discrete clinical interaction. And they count all these services equally, regardless of the cost, time, or effort it takes to render that service. So an entire abortion procedure, which can cost from $390 to $1,500, is counted the same as a pregnancy test, which a girl could get at a pharmacy for $10. In this way, Planned Parenthood is able to count 9.4 million services. Divide 323,999 abortions by 9.4 million services, and they get 3%. It's easy to see why this math is completely ridiculous. Say a woman goes to Planned Parenthood to get an abortion. She gets her pregnancy test, the abortion procedure, an STI test, and some contraceptives. In one visit, she gets 4 services, one of which is the actual abortion. So Planned Parenthood would say that abortion was only 25% of what they did for that woman, who came into the clinic only for an abortion. Well, by this math, even if 100% of Planned Parenthood patients got an abortion, they would still say abortion is only 25% of their services. Such distorted calculations could be used to obscure the purpose of any business. It would be like the NFL saying that because they sold 5 million hot dogs in a season and there were only 256 games, football is only 0.005% of what they do. Or it'd be like a steakhouse saying, actually, steak is only a very small percentage of what we serve because we also serve salad, mashed potatoes, french fries, beer, wine, soda, water, butter, salt, pepper, ketchup, toothpicks, and breath mints. We'd say, yeah, right, you're a steakhouse. Just like Planned Parenthood is an abortion corporation.
That wasn't smooth, but it worked. So give me some comments about, what was that video? Video 3. So give me some comments about that, guys. Those were their own numbers. Those were plan people's own numbers. Let's catch up on some comments. Excuse me, Sherry, I had to do something. Amanda, can you talk about something else? No, again, this is a ministry here. I have a plan. I've done homework. It's lack of better words, but I put a sermon together. The subject for tonight, thank you. Okay, but Amanda, how we learn? How are we going to, stick our head in a hole in the ground here if we can't? If we don't understand it, how can we fight it? How can we teach the Bible if we don't know the Bible? Gary, I guess Gary signed in. Gary Scott, thank you, brother. And I saw another name earlier that I didn't see who it was. This is another 5-minute video. But there's this movie coming out, and I got a trailer. We're going to close with a trailer, and it's pretty inspiring, of this movie that comes out. It's confusing me. Friday. It's going to be coming out Friday in Unplanned, it's called. And I'm going to show a complete trailer on it, 27-minute trailer, and it's really a happy ending. It's not a happy ending. It's a happy, true life story about this woman, Abby Johnson. She worked I don't want to give out too much. She worked abortion clinics for 6 or 7 years, and she knew it inside and out, and now she's testifying. This next video is her testifying, Senate Committee, Health and Human Services. She's got 5 kids and 1 on the way or something. I think she's got a couple adopted people. Adoption is one of the 4 choices. I'm about choice. Okay, adopt these kids out. Gary Scott, Deanna, let's pray for America tonight to hear heal her soul. God is slow to anger, but he do anger. People, what are we doing? What are we doing? 1 million babies a year in America. 1 million. We have more than that crossing the border. Put up the wall, stop those million from coming in, and let these million be born. Okay, it's 4,000 a day. Let me touch on this. Black Lives Matter. Absolutely, Black Lives Matter. I got 3 godchildren that I absolutely adore and love. Okay, but black women, 6, depends on scale, 7% of the population are killing 50% of the babies. 2,000 black babies a day. This genocide, and this was, I think this is planned, infanticide. I want to, somebody's dead. People say, well, if we had 1 million people a year in America, how would we feed them? I don't know. We're killing the person who could turn water into food or fuel for cars or something. If we had killed Einstein and some of these greats that have done what they've done. So killing is, we can feed the 1 million people. We can adopt them. We need to stop killing the 1 million babies, people. And there are exceptions, and I support that death of the mother. We don't want a mother die. Amanda, please. The American, God bless, brother. Yeah, we got, and I'm going to have another part 2 on this, and I imagine it's going to get tough. But the 27-minute finish I have here, guys, is really good. Where am I? I'm about out at 27 minutes now, so we might go a little bit over. So let me send this here.
Abby, Ms. Johnson, please. Hello, Chairman, members. My name is Abby Johnson. I am a former Planned Parenthood Abortion Clinic Director. I worked directly for Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast affiliate and ran one of their abortion centers. My testimony is going to specifically talk about the procedure of harvesting fetal tissue and organs. It is not true that fetal tissue is only harvested through D&E procedures. Fetal tissue is harvested through manual vacuum aspiration and also through manual vacuum aspiration and vacuum aspiration procedures. The vacuum aspiration procedure is 27 times more powerful, the suction, than a household vacuum. So it is not always a D&E that is performed. So just kind of general, and our Attorney General Paxton did a good job of talking about this. After the abortion is performed, the fetal tissue, the aborted child, is suctioned into a glass container. That glass container goes into a lab called the POC lab, the POC lab. That officially stands for Products of Conception. However, in Planned Parenthood, the joke was that it stood for Pieces of Children. And the tissue would be dumped into a glass baking dish. A little water would be squirted in there, and the POC technician, who is not medically trained in any way, would then begin pulling the parts of the baby away from each other, and depending on what was ordered by the company that we were going through. We personally went through Amphioxus Cell Technologies at Planned Parenthood and Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, and we would pick out, depending on what was ordered, whether it was eyes, liver, the entire body. Babies are always dismembered during abortion procedures, whether it's through a D&E or an aspiration procedure. It is very rare to get intact tissue unless you are doing a procedure over 16 weeks gestation. Many times they would also be ordering extremities, legs, arms, the calvarium, which is the skull, the head. We would piece these parts and then we would put them into a biohazard Ziploc bag. That would go into a a styrofoam container that had dry ice in it. That would go into our freezer that was already in the POC room. The freezer was jokingly called the nursery inside of our abortion facility. That was where all of the babies were held until a company called Stericycle would come and either take them for biohazard waste, or we would ship them to the Amphioxus Cell Technology Company. Generally, in our studies that we did, we received $200 in compensation per baby that was sent. I can assure you that there is no additional charge for collection, preservation, or storage of fetal tissue. The only additional expense would be shipping, and that's between $5 to $10 per specimen, not $200. That is sheer profit for Planned Parenthood. And let's just be a little generous here. The Planned Parenthood in Houston, off of the Gulf Freeway, their abortion quota is to perform 75 abortions every day, 6 days per week. If, let's be generous here, or let's be conservative rather, and let's say that they only charged $100 per specimen, and let's say that only 50 of the 75 women consented to harvesting this fetal tissue. That would be $100 per specimen. 50 specimens per day would be $5,000 per day. Multiply that 6 days a week, we're talking about $30,000 per week that Planned Parenthood was collecting from fetal tissue. Extrapolate that, $120,000 per month. That is certainly not recouping cost from the abortion procedure or anything relating to fetal tissue research. In fact, in the second video, Dr. Gatter, a high-level employee with Planned Parenthood, said that they don't have to do anything when it comes to harvesting fetal tissue. All they have to do is ship it out, or sometimes the technology company will actually come and pick it up directly, so there are actually no shipping costs at all. So this is very important for us to talk about. I have a lot of information that was talked about by Dishes that was actually not accurate, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I'm sure we'll have questions for the
And the king shall answer and say unto them, verily I say unto you, insomuch as you have done it to the least of these, you have done it to me. This is a brilliant woman, and they've done this, boy, I don't know. Looks like something stopped here. Hopefully this is, she is frozen, but she ain't frozen for long. There we go. I don't know, moving parts here. We only got a little bit of time left, and I want to do video 4 of this woman here. Well, let's catch up on Hands of Seed. What gives skin color? Thank you for saying it's hard. Oh gosh. God bless her for coming forward. Watch this video. Gosh, this is going to take us a little overtime, so let me get started, and then go see the movie. Go see the movie. Comment, like, subscribe, and let's just watch this for a bit.
Unplanned is, it's just my story. I worked at Planned Parenthood for 8 years, loved my job, loved what I did, believed that I was helping women. That's how I got involved in Planned Parenthood. And then really had my eyes opened.
It just moved away from the catheter.
They always move. That's why I do it this way.
And I knew then that abortion took the life of an individual and unique human being. And I knew if those two things were true, then I was on the wrong side of this issue. I was on the wrong side of this debate.
We had a wonderful girl that we know by the name of Megan Harrington. She came up to us. She's a Hollywood producer. She came up to us and gave us the book Unplanned by Abby Johnson. Said, you should make this a movie.
I mean, someone that went from one side of the fence to literally the other side of the fence on such a hot button issue as abortion. To me, that's a powerful story. So as soon as we read the book, I was on board.
About a year and a half ago, we were coming together and praying about what are we going to do, what's up ahead, and we felt specifically at this time that it was time to make Unplanned.
I would get emails all the time from people who would say, I have no experience in film, but I read your book and I want to turn it into a movie.
I actually believed Abby more when she came into my office and told me she was now pro-life than I believed Chuck and Gary when they called and said, we're making a movie about Abby Johnson and we need to portray you and your wife. And I'm like, who is this?
The email just said, we read your book, we'd like to turn it into a film, we'd love to talk with you. And it was signed Chuck Konzelman, and I didn't know who that was.
After she told me her story and we talked about the lawsuit and what had happened and her history, I was just blown away. And I said, you know, this is probably going to be a book one day. I said, they may even make a movie out of this.
Abby's story is the most powerful story that the pro-life world has experienced up until this point.
Sometimes the bravest thing you can possibly do is change your mind, and that's what Abby did.
Seeing both sides and still having that characteristic of passion and helping women is something that people are really going to resonate with.
We all have a story, and I think the impact that a true story can have, you just can't deny.
Everything we've done in this movie is absolutely true. We haven't added or detracted from anything. We just tell the story straight as it is.
You would think it's a film about life ending, but in many ways, it's a film about life beginning again.
You actually get to encounter what women go through. You actually get to see what the reality is. I think that's going to be huge for people and be mind-changing.
What this film does is allow us to look behind the curtain, look behind all the social media, see what's really happening in the clinic from an insider's perspective.
There's never been a movie like this, and it's going to get labeled so many things. It'll be the anti-Planned Parenthood movie, the anti-abortion movie, the anti-woman movie, the anti-fill-in-the-blank, right? But the reality and the problem for the abortion industry is that it's true.
I think once they see what's going on and watch the movie, I would say that there are going to be a lot of people going, wow, I can't believe this was even happening in our country.
We moved forward in faith all throughout prep without knowing that we had the money to make the film until we got really close to shooting. And I had employees that were on for 10 weeks that didn't know if they'd had a job the next week. You know, I would tell them, okay, we can go another week and you're employed and hope you show up on Monday because we're not sure we have enough to pay you for the following week. So there's a commitment level that begins there when people would say, I'm so committed to this project, I want to be here, I want to be a part of this, I want to see this thing through. That kind of buy-in is not the same as I'm just showing up for a paycheck.
We slid into the week before we were scheduled to start shooting with our financing incomplete and without a lead female for the role to play Abby Johnson.
Which you're not supposed to do.
And rather than
with
doing,
a week left.
And we were unable to push the beginning of our shooting dates.
Now Monday morning, we're shooting. We got a 4,000 square foot set. We have 150, 200 people working. We've got millions of dollars at stake here. And the Thursday night, we still don't have a lead. We got to do hair, makeup, change her hair to red.
52 wardrobe looks
52.
in the movie, and she hasn't, and no one started lining up her clothing yet. I mean, this is
Because we didn't know who it was going to be. So we're going through the list. Literally one by one, I'm getting chopped down. The last person on my desk is this person, Ashley Bratcher.
When I first auditioned for Unplanned, I didn't really know who Abby was, and I was so compelled just from those 3 pages of sides. I got online immediately. I listened to her testimony. I watched her videos on YouTube, and listening to Abby speak and tell her story, I was floored. I mean, I was just ugly crying, and it really hit home for me on a very personal level. And I was just so moved by it that I went home and I told my husband, I said, I need to be a part of this film.
She then sends us 2 emails with passion that was so powerful, and then speaks to us on the phone and says, all I can say is 2 years ago, the Lord spoke to me and told me he had a mighty work for me to do, but I was not ready. But when I was, he would tell me what it was and would bring it forward. And she says, I know this is my story to tell.
Her story
And
to
she was so passionate.
I was warned by multiple people, even people who knew that I had auditioned and just read the script, said, you'll never work again. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Don't do it. And I said, there's no way I can't not do it.
She is Abby Johnson. Even Abby Johnson, when she was on the set, said, that's me. And I can't believe it.
Our actress that plays Abby, Ashley Bratcher, plays her beautifully. She has filled that role so well.
Well, who am I supposed to talk to about this?
I don't know. All right, I don't know. All I know is that here we are 8 years later, and you're still thinking that you can change them. When the only thing that's changed is you, Abby.
Abby is really feisty, and she says it how it is, which is one thing I really love about her, and I may have been told that I'm kind of like that a couple of times.
What I'm saying is that I'm not going to apologize for doing a job that helps women in crisis.
I think that Abby fell in love with Mark because he was charismatic. He's a great-looking guy who told her everything she wanted to hear. And when she found herself pregnant for the first time with Mark, she leaned on him to give her the right answer, and it wasn't the right answer.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right. We'll take you to a clinic and take care of it.
So I had already come to Oklahoma, and I had been working for a couple of days, and my mom called me. I don't have a wonderful relationship with my parents. I had kind of a rocky childhood. My mom had always been very open with me when I was younger that she had had an abortion before me. And she had always said things like, I was gonna abort you, but I chose not to. Like, I could never do that. But I did know that when I got ready to tell my mom that I was doing this movie and start explaining who Abby is and what the film's about, that she might have an emotional reaction. And she did. But more than I anticipated. I could just feel her weeping through the phone, and I said, Mom, I said, Mom, what's wrong? And she said, you don't know this, but I was there in the clinic. They had called my name, and I was in the room to abort you, and I got up and walked out. And I had no idea.
And so you were literally 10 seconds away from an abortion. Now 30 years later, she's going to become the face of the pro-life world. Can God cook or what?
It's a very different concept to hear someone say, you know, abortion was an option, but I chose not to do that. As opposed to hearing you're seconds away, just minutes, seconds away from never having existed. But it's really evidence that God has just planned my steps long before I ever stepped foot on earth to be here doing this today.
She was created before time by God for this moment, for a time such as this.
So I guess technically I'm an abortion survivor, and I never knew it.
This is truly a before I formed you in the womb, I knew you moment. She was created to play this role.
Amazing.
I don't want people to think that this is just some movie about abortion, because there's a really beautiful love story, I think, between Doug and Abby. He is just so incredibly supportive, and he just loves her unconditionally. You're not supposed to look happier than I do.
There's a really beautiful scene in the movie where Abby comes home and has had just a very hard day at work. She's standing over Grace's crib, just looking at her little innocent baby there just sleeping. So he comes up behind her and just basically lets her know that he's got her.
Do you have any idea how much I love you?
It's nice to know, not alone. I've found my home here in your arms.
And you're committed to carrying this pregnancy to term.
I am. We are.
We only have so much time, so much energy. If you choose to spend it elsewhere, there's less of you for here.
Look, I already warned Doug, we are one and done.
In our story, Cheryl is the face of Planned Parenthood.
This is Abby. She's our newest volunteer escort. Abby, this is Cheryl Alessandro, clinic director.
Welcome, nice to meet you.
You too.
When Abby begins to realize that her own views are beginning to separate from the official Planned Parenthood line, it's Cheryl then that she'll be having her friction with.
We are paying you to be a perfect instrument of corporate policy, and corporate policy is simple. We are an abortion provider. In Unplanned, you see the true agenda being revealed, and that honestly, Planned Parenthood is a multi-billion-dollar business. Congratulations. You've managed to make an enemy of one of the most powerful organizations on the planet.
The statistics for abortion are mind-numbing. Worldwide, since 1980, 1.5 billion abortions. That's what, a quarter of the planet missing? That's crazy.
I think some of the most telling statistics, the most shocking statistics about abortion are just the gross numbers of abortions that take place every year. So we're at about 1 million abortions a year, about 3,000 a day, and this is just in the United States. And about 1 in 3 women in the US have had an abortion or will have an abortion by the time they're 45. There are places in the United States where there are more African American babies being aborted than born.
To know that there is a silent genocide that is going on and occurring predominantly in minority communities is a major issue.
Rhonda, baby, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Whatever you need, you can come live with us.
79% of abortion facilities are put in minority neighborhoods.
That baby you're carrying is gonna be just as beautiful as Lily. Rhonda, don't do this. Rhonda!
Within our African American community, millions of unborn children have never seen the light of day. How many doctors, how many lawyers, how many pastors never had the opportunity for their gifts and their destinies to come into fruition?
There is no justice for the unborn because we don't see them die. Because it's done in secret, people don't really understand what's taking place inside the womb.
Part of the rationale in our culture for abortion being as available as it is that the fetus is nothing more than a clump of cells.
At this stage, between 6 and 8 weeks, it's just fetal matter. A lump of tissue, not much more than a polyp or a blood clot.
That's been the party line for a very long time. And if that's all it was, If it was no more than getting a tooth removed, let's say, well, you shouldn't worry about it too much.
So he's not a baby yet?
No, not at all.
And you can't feel any pain?
None whatsoever.
But most everyone is coming to realize because of the ultrasounds that it's not a clump of cells anymore. It is actually a baby.
When Abby was a clinic director, 70% of her clients would self-describe as Christian. In the Christian church at large, in the Catholic Church, it's no longer spoken of from the pulpit because it's such a divisive issue. Priests and pastors are afraid to speak of this issue, and that needs to change.
You can throw your hands up in the air, you can get mad, you can get frustrated, you can blame Washington, D.C., you can blame your uncle who's pro-abortion, you can blame so many people, but you have to respond. And the first response has to be offering this up to God and asking for his help. So in 1998, Planned Parenthood announced plans that they would build the first ever abortion facility in College Station, Texas, a city with about 60,000 college students. And they bought the land under a different name, and they announced that it would be an abortion facility. And people at that moment in that community started going out and praying when it was just a pile of dirt.
And they were praying from that moment on till the day that Abby legitimately left.
40 Days for Life came about out of frustration. We saw our local abortion numbers going up at that Planned Parenthood. So we did 40 days of prayer and fasting and 40 days of a nonstop peaceful vigil outside of Abby's Planned Parenthood abortion facility.
And that building now is a crisis pregnancy counseling clinic, very pro-life, and also the national headquarters for 40 Days for Life. I dare say those prayers had some effect.
Unbelievable.
If abortion can end in one community, then it can end anywhere.
Right from the outset, when we started planning this film, we knew we were going to need a prayer and ministry team. We knew we were going to need protection. We knew there was going to be a lot of spiritual warfare going on surrounding the filming of this project.
I've worked on sets before that have had people come and pray on set, but never, ever have I experienced it to the magnitude that I felt it on this film.
The prayer ministry team that we put together was Catholics, evangelicals, all kinds from every denomination.
I remember filming the most difficult scene in the movie, the abortion, the chemical abortion scene, and not realizing that not only our prayer team, but some of our crew members were standing outside of the wall holding it up with their hands, just praying over the scene.
The cast and crew all said that they'd never been on any kind of a set that was anything like this. There was such a feeling of peace, there was such a feeling of calm, there was such a feeling of camaraderie over the shooting. And for anyone that's not been around a movie set before, that's not the norm.
So we knew the power in prayer. It was so powerful, as a matter of fact, that on every movie we do for now, it's a line item in our budget from now on. And so we intend to do it in an even bigger way. We want to recruit, for anyone who's listening, we want 1 million prayer warriors praying for this movie. So if you wanted to help us in any way at all, that's the way you could do it.
I think Unplanned does a beautiful job of showing the most effective way to reach these people and how to reach these people with the heart of Christ.
Why are you telling me this?
Because I understand better than anyone that inside that building, they don't offer solutions. They only offer abortions. And if you go through that door, you will not come out the same person. Because you can't. And everybody wants to pretend like you can, but you can't. Because the truth is, you can let them get rid of your baby, but they can't get rid of the memory of your baby. And neither can you, no matter how hard you try.
I don't know what to do.
What's your name?
Hannah.
Hannah? It's gonna be okay, I promise. I promise, and I'll be there every step of the way. I'll do anything I can to help you.
Media is the most important, most powerful tool for evangelization, for spreading word, an idea, a theory. I mean, there's nothing that is as powerful as the media. We've always said that if John or Paul or Peter or any of the apostles were here today, they wouldn't go door to door knocking and saying, let me tell you about Jesus. What they would do is they go and make a movie.
No movie has spoken to post-abortive women like Unplanned will speak to them.
This is the first thing that's come along powerfully from the other direction, saying, oh, by the way, there's another side to this argument.
No one will be able to walk away from this movie and say, I didn't know. And to me, that is the most powerful piece of this film.
My dad is 84 years old, God bless his soul. Jewish man, very pro-choice. He's an atheist. He's everything in that way, okay? And he called me up and he said, baby, what are you doing? Well, he hadn't noticed that I was making a movie, okay? So I said, Dad, I'm making a movie. He says, okay, yeah, send me something. Okay, so I sent them the barrel scene. In this barrel scene, they're wheeling out the refuse in two big blue containers. What people don't realize is, in those containers are babies.
Is that what I think it is? Afraid so.
And they bring it to a sanitation truck, a waste truck, which carts it off and then gets rid of it. So my father starts to watch it.
Do you mind if we pray over it? I don't know about that, man. Please?
10 seconds in, he stops and I hear him choking up. And he can't speak and he says, I can't talk about this anymore. I'll call you tomorrow. Bang. Next day comes, he gives me a call and he says, we have to stop this abortion thing. We need to make laws to stop this. He said, you've shown us what we didn't want to see. And just see, bam, 10 seconds of film, going back to what we said, why it's so powerful. 10 seconds of film changed the position that he had his whole life.
Now we have a face, we have a voice from the inside that is showing us what we've never seen before.
I hope Unplanned, the story of Unplanned, this true story, is transformative for people.
We've got all this love actually working all through the film, and you see the power of what love can do.
These women need hope, and they need the mercy of God. And everything else, so the world tells you it's just going to go away or it's not a big deal, that is a complete lie. And this movie will really speak to that reality.
I think what this movie Unplanned is going to be able to do is really be able to help people see what's going on behind closed doors.
Abortion's in our history. Let's keep it there. Let's leave it there. And let's see a country, a culture where we love children and moms, where we don't pit them against each other, but we can love them both.
I believe that it's time for us to really listen to what God is trying to say on this issue. And that's why this is such an important message for this hour.
That's what I think of this movie is going to really help people that don't realize what they're doing, what's been going on for 50 years. It's going to be an awakening.
My heart, my prayer is just to go out and expose what's taking place inside of these abortion facilities and to let people know that there is hope and there is healing and there is forgiveness and there's no condemnation because of what we've done in the past. And, I hope that Unplanned will give people that hope.
In our career, we've made many movies. We've been in the business for over 30 years. Nothing we've done in our lives is as important as this movie. This is more than a movie. This has to become a movement. This is about simply saving babies' lives.
tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors.